They called Senator Thompson the perfect candidate. The kind of man who kissed babies, preached family values, and looked like the future president, a loyal husband, a devoted father, a golden boy with a spotless record. But then, one photo hit the internet, grainy, blurry, taken in secret, yet clear enough to make one thing undeniable. That wasn't his wife. Within minutes, the hashtag was trending. His campaign office turned into a war room. Reporters camped outside his house like it was a crime scene. And his opponents, they smiled like Christmas came early. But the scariest part wasn't the photo. It was who the woman really was and how long this secret had been hiding right under everyone's nose. Because in politics, you don't lose elections from bad policies. You lose them from one mistake caught on camera. Before we continue, if you love stories with shocking twists and real-life drama, hit the subscribe button right now. I'm glad you did. Now let's dive into the story. Senator Daniel Thompson stood on the stage and a man carved from certainty. Cameras loved him because he never blinked at pressure. Voters loved him because he spoke like a father protecting a home. His smile looked practiced, but it also looked believable. Beside him stood his wife, Elise, elegant and calm. Their two children waved like this was their normal life. The campaign posters showed Thompson holding a baby at a charity event. They showed him praying at a church service and visiting a military base. Every photo screamed integrity, and the word followed him everywhere. People called him the golden boy of politics and meant it as praise. Even his enemies admitted he was hard to attack. His staff built his image like a fortress. They believed nothing could break it. In private, Thompson's campaign manager, Marcus Hale, tracked every detail of his schedule. Marcus controlled what he ate, where he slept, and who shook his hand. They avoided risky places and unpredictable crowds. Thompson was always surrounded by security and staff. His phone was monitored, his social media polished, and his interviews rehearsed. The plan was simple: keep him spotless until election day. Elise Thompson played her role with quiet strength and polished grace. She attended charity luncheons and smiled at donors like it was effortless. People admired her because she never looked jealous or bitter. She spoke about family values and discipline with gentle confidence. She never raised her voice, never embarrassed her husband, never slipped. She was the perfect political wife, and she knew it. But there were whispers in the campaign office, small and careful ones. A junior staffer once mentioned seeing Thompson leave an event early alone. Another said the senator's hotel requests were unusually specific. Marcus dismissed it as gossip, the kind that always follows power. Still, he tightened the schedule and kept the senator busier. The tighter the grip, the more desperate the secrets became, and secrets always look for air. Thompson's opponent, Governor Raines, trailed behind in the polls by a wide margin. His team was hungry, bitter, and searching for anything sharp enough to cut. They dug into Thompson's finances, friends, and family history. But they found nothing that could explode. It made them angry because perfection felt unfair. One advisor said, "Nobody is that clean." That sentence became their fuel. On a Thursday night, the campaign held a fundraiser at a luxury hotel downtown. Thompson gave a speech about loyalty and trust. The crowd applauded like they were witnessing history. Elise clapped with a smile that never changed. Cameras captured the moment perfectly for the evening news. Everyone thought it was just another victory lap. No one noticed Thompson's eyes scanning the room too often. After the fundraiser, Thompson told Marcus he needed a few minutes alone. Marcus hesitated, but the senator's voice was firm and calm. Security stayed nearby, but not too close. Elise was taken upstairs with the children and staff. Thompson walked down a quieter hallway where the lights were softer. He looked like a man stepping out of his own life. And somewhere, hidden behind a corner, someone watched. The next morning, the first post appeared online at 6:17 a.m. It was a grainy photo taken from a distance, but it was devastatingly clear. Thompson was in a hotel hallway with a woman in a red dress. Her hand was on his chest, and his body leaned toward her. His face wasn't blurred, and neither was his wedding ring. The caption read, "Family man, sure." Within minutes, the internet caught fire. At first, supporters called it fake and demanded proof. They claimed it was edited, staged, or made by political enemies. But the photo had something no edit could replicate: tension. The woman's expression looked familiar with him, not surprised. Thompson's eyes didn't look innocent, they looked careful. People started zooming in, circling details, and comparing suits. The hashtag spread faster than any campaign slogan. By 7 a.m., it was trending nationwide. Marcus woke up to 40 missed calls and a phone vibrating like an alarm. He opened the photo and felt his stomach drop. His first instinct was denial, but denial didn't last long. He called Thompson, but the senator didn't answer. He called security, and they sounded confused and afraid. The campaign office turned into a panic room within an hour. Staff rushed in with laptops and red eyes. News stations replayed the photo. It was a national emergency. Pundits smiled while pretending to be disappointed. Reporters stood outside Thompson's home, if they expected him to run out screaming. Even late-night comedians started writing jokes by noon. The internet turned the image into memes, but the tone was cruel. Every share felt like another punch. Thompson's perfect family became a public experiment. Elise found out when her sister called her crying. She opened her phone and stared at the photo without blinking. The room fell to quiet, like the air had been sucked out. Her first thought was that it had to be fake. Her second thought was that Thompson's posture looked familiar. She didn't scream, and she didn't throw anything. She simply sat down and whispered, "So this is the truth." Thompson finally called Marcus back, his voice smooth but strained. He said, "We can fix this," like it was a broken microphone. Marcus demanded the truth, not the politician version. Thompson paused too long before answering. He claimed the woman was a donor and the photo was misleading. Marcus felt anger rise, sharp and hot. He knew that pause meant guilt. The campaign rushed into damage control mode, like soldiers running to a collapsing wall. They drafted a statement saying the senator was being targeted. They promised an investigation into illegal surveillance. They suggested the photo was taken out of context. They pushed friendly media outlets to defend him. They begged influencers to shift attention to policy. But the public wasn't listening to words anymore. Meanwhile, online detectives started hunting the woman's identity. Someone noticed the red dress matched a boutique in the city. Another person recognized her bracelet from a recent charity gala. A blurry screenshot from a fundraiser video showed her in the background smiling. Her face became clearer with every post and every guess. People began calling her the mistress before they even knew her name. The internet decided her role and refused to reconsider. By evening, a name surfaced: Serena Blake. She was a communications consultant who had once worked on political campaigns. She had attended Thompson's events as media support. Her social media was suddenly locked, but screenshots had already escaped. People found photos of her near the same hotels Thompson visited. The pattern was too neat to ignore. The scandal wasn't random. It looked rehearsed. Marcus confronted Thompson in a private meeting at the campaign headquarters. The senator arrived looking tired, but still polished. Marcus slammed a printed copy of the photo on the table. "Tell me the truth," he said, voice shaking with fury. Thompson stared at it like it was someone else's life. Then he said quietly, "It happened once." Marcus knew that sentence usually meant more than once. Elise refused to answer Thompson's calls at night. She sat with her children and told them their father was busy. Her daughter asked why reporters were outside the gate. Elise said it was because their father was important. Her son asked if Dad did something bad. Elise forced a smile that hurt her face. In her heart, something cracked and stayed broken. Late that night, a new post appeared online from an anonymous account. It claimed the photo was only the beginning. It hinted at more evidence, more dates, and more betrayal. Marcus read it and felt cold fear crawl up his spine. Thompson's opponent didn't even need to attack anymore. The scandal was doing the work for them. And somewhere in the darkness, Serena Blake was deciding what to do next. The next morning, Thompson's campaign headquarters looked like a disaster zone. Coffee cups piled up like evidence of sleepless war. Staff whispered in corners, afraid of being seen near the chaos. Marcus demanded everyone stay off social media, but they couldn't help checking. Every refresh brought new headlines and uglier comments. Thompson walked in with a calm face that didn't match the storm. It felt like watching a man smile while drowning. The Senators' team scheduled an emergency press conference within hours. They believed speed could outrun damage, like putting out fire with a speech. Marcus wrote a statement full of words like family, values, and misinformation. The legal team warned them not to admit anything. The media team begged for sincerity and emotion. Thompson practiced his apology in front of a mirror. The mirror didn't forgive him. It only reflected him. When he stepped up to the podium, flashes exploded like lightning. Reporters shouted questions before he even spoke. Thompson raised his hands for silence and smiled nervously. He said he was deeply hurt by the invasion of privacy. He claimed his family was being attacked by political forces. He never directly denied the photo. That omission screamed louder than any confession. The crowd outside the building was divided into two angry worlds. Supporters held signs saying fake news and stand with Thompson. Protesters held signs saying liar and resign now. Someone threw a bottle and security rushed forward. Cameras captured everything, because conflict sells. The scandal had turned into entertainment for strangers. Thompson's campaign wasn't just losing votes, it was losing dignity. Elise watched the press conference from her living room, silent as stone. She saw the way Thompson avoided certain words. She noticed how he spoke about himself more than his family. Her sister asked if she wanted to issue a supportive statement. Elise shook her head slowly, like she was waking from a dream. She whispered, "He's still lying." That sentence felt like closing a door forever. Behind the scenes, Marcus tracked the source of the leaked photo. The angle suggested it was taken from a hidden position. Hotel security footage was requested, but the hotel delayed cooperation. Marcus suspected someone had planned this carefully. Political enemies were obvious suspects, but the timing felt too personal. Someone wanted Thompson humiliated, not just defeated. It was a revenge strike, not a strategy. And Marcus feared the attacker was closer than they thought. Then Serena Blake's name hit the mainstream news like gasoline on fire. A reporter revealed she had been contracted as a communications consultant for a partner organization. That meant she had legitimate access to Thompson's events. She wasn't some random stranger from a bar. She was someone who knew the rules of politics. She knew where cameras were, where blind spots existed, and how narratives formed. She was trained for this kind of war. A journalist finally got an anonymous interview with Serena's former friend. The friend claimed Serena had been involved with Thompson for over a year. They met during late-night planning sessions and private strategy talks. The friend said Serena believed Thompson would leave Elise after the election. Serena felt promised a future that never came. When she realized she was disposable, her love turned into rage, and rage always wants witnesses. Marcus arranged a secret meeting with Serena, hoping to end the bleeding. He found her at a quiet cafe, wearing sunglasses indoors. She looked calm, like she had already accepted the consequences. Marcus offered her money, legal protection, and silence. Serena laughed softly and said, "You think this is about money?" Marcus felt his skin crawl at her confidence. She wasn't bargaining. She was performing. Serena leaned forward and whispered that Thompson had lied to her too. She said he made her feel chosen. then treated her like a stain. She said she waited for him to do the right thing, but he kept delaying. After the election, he always said, like power was his excuse. Serena admitted she didn't leak the photo herself. She claimed someone else had done it first. But she wasn't going to stop what came next. That night, a second leak appeared, worse than the first. It was a short video clip of Thompson entering a private hotel room. The timestamp was weeks old, proving it wasn't a one-time mistake. The internet erupted again, louder and crueler. News anchors stopped calling it allegations. They called it confirmed misconduct. Thompson's donors began pulling out like people escaping a sinking ship. The campaign bank account started bleeding. Thompson called Elise and begged for a private conversation. Elise agreed, not because she wanted to forgive him, but because she needed closure. He arrived at home without cameras, without speeches, without his armor. He looked smaller in the doorway, like a man caught in his own trap. Elise asked him one question: how long? Thompson couldn't answer quickly enough. That hesitation was the final confession. Elise told him the worst part wasn't the cheating, it was the performance. She said he stood on stages preaching loyalty while living a lie. She reminded him their children repeated his words at school. She asked how he could kiss them goodnight after betraying their mother. Thompson cried, but his tears felt late. Elise didn't yell. She didn't slap him. She simply stood up. She said, "You don't get to use us as a shield." The next day, Elise released a short statement through her lawyer. It was calm, direct, and devastating. She said she was focusing on her children and her personal healing. She did not mention forgiveness or support. She did not stand beside him. The public saw it as abandonment, but Elise saw it as survival. Her silence hit harder than any insult. Thompson's image collapsed further without her presence. Governor Rain's campaign moved like sharks sensing blood. They released ads about character and trust without saying Thompson's name. Everyone knew who they meant. They invited voters to choose honesty over hypocrisy. Their polls climbed fast as Thompson's dropped. Some voters forgave affairs, but they didn't forgive lies. Thompson's biggest weapon had been his moral image. Now it was his biggest weakness. Marcus urged Thompson to step down before the scandal destroyed everything permanently. Thompson refused at first, saying he could still win. He talked about polls like they were prayers. He blamed enemies, media, and cancel culture. Marcus snapped and told him the truth. "You did this." The room went silent, heavy with reality. Thompson stared at the floor like it had answers. For the first time, he looked afraid. Serena's face finally appeared on a major network interview. She sat in a studio, composed, with eyes that held both pain and pride. She said she never wanted to hurt Elise, but she felt trapped in lies too. She claimed Thompson promised her a future he never intended to give. She admitted she stayed because she believed him. Then she looked into the camera and said, "I was his secret until I decided I wouldn't be." That sentence went viral in minutes. The campaign attempted one final desperate move, a full public apology. Thompson admitted he had betrayed his marriage and disappointed the public. He said he would seek counseling and work to rebuild trust. Some people applauded the honesty, but most were tired. The scandal had become too big for redemption speeches. Trust, once broken in public, rarely repairs in public. The apology felt like a closing scene, not a comeback. On election night, Thompson lost in a landslide. The news called it one of the biggest collapses in modern politics. His supporters looked stunned, like they had been betrayed too. Marcus resigned immediately and walked away from politics. Elise moved out of the spotlight and refused interviews. Thompson watched the results alone in a hotel room, the same kind of hallway that ended him. Power had left him, and truth remained. Months later, people still remembered the scandal more than Thompson's policies. The photo became the symbol of his downfall, printed in documentaries and political books. Serena disappeared from public view, leaving behind rumors and questions. Elise rebuilt her life quietly, protecting her children from the world's cruelty. Thompson tried to return to public service, but his name triggered laughter and anger. In the end, his legacy wasn't defined by speeches or promises, but by one moment of indiscretion caught on camera.